Okay. Second video. Let's fix this issue with the roof here, which I can see that space or the interior is not related properly to the roof. We can see that under massing inside and turn on the mass and notice how it comes up to the top. We have to kind of invert the offset. So let's turn off the mass, select the roof, and I think it's just like 2 feet offset to the top. So that should do it. But now we have the whole set of trusses and we need to move upwards as well. No? So what I'm going to do is basically turn on everything here. Let's say unhide elements, wireframe WF to see what's going on. These are the different walls we have, that's fine. And what we need to do is, let me go to wireframe again, WF, see, we need to select all of the trusses and take them down, up 2 feet as well. For that, I'm gonna close every window except the 3D and the section. And I'm gonna go to view and window tile. This is WT if you want to do a shortcut for that. You can do Z, A, and it will zoom to both views at the same time. And I'm gonna select everything here and filter. I want to select only the truss systems here. So check that, say okay. And I just want to see how that's looking here. So I selected all of the trusses that I'm gonna basically take up 2 feet. So that's gonna be 1 and 1. Apply all of them, go together. Now I could have selected, maybe it was too much. Let me see again. Select all of the trusses only, filter, none, select the trusses, and maybe it's just only 1 feet, so let's take that to 2. There we go, so now it looks good. Notice how the detail of the truss is not coming all the way down, and that's because it's not able to detect the columns here. So we need to fix that a little bit as well. Notice that in the section I could have selected one of them, but the only way to select all of the trusses is in the 3Ds and by doing the filter option. So now what I could do is select everything again, filter out, select the structural columns, and the columns need to go up on that feet that we moved. I believe it's from 3 to -2. See if that works. And there you go. All of them go up and then the trusses are fixed. So, okay, so that's that. Let me close the 3D. So I have only one window. So this is looking good. Again, we can turn off the cropping region or turn it on and then make this a bigger or smaller sectional drawing. The way I would go about, showcasing a nice drawing, what I would do is always go to the sections and duplicate with detailing. That takes all of the annotations if you have any. And then I will rename it, right click and say something like section 1 and then presentation or final or something that you recognize as a presentation material. So then you can clean up this one. For example, you can hide the category of the grids and maybe hide also the category of the levels. You can basically focus on the area that you're most interested in and then turn off the section crop. So that could be a nice element to have. You could also maybe introduce some people here to give scale to this in different ways. No, for example, what we could do is go to insert, and if you want to load any family, insert is the place you want to go. And typically the ones that are as a default existing in in Revit, you will use the load out of disk family. So you click there. I think I talked about this in the previous videos. But then you can select the turrets for people, male or female. You can select a couple of the options. Potentially select the car, truck, whatever it is. Some of them are not necessarily 2D, so they're 3D. So be careful with that. So you can say load. It loads them in. And then the question is, how do you bring those to the drawings? You can click here if it's three-dimensional, or if it's an annotate, you will click here for two-dimensional. So under architecture component, and the newest material will be here. So you can find the trees that we mentioned, and also the persons that we just discussed. Now, if you want to place a person, the place you should do that is on the plan. So what I will do is go to level 1, bring back the person again, and you will place it, next to the section if you want to see it. You could potentially bring a tree, and you could also maybe introduce the band. You can press spacebar for different position options. You can always rotate it afterwards. So let's go to that section and see how that looks. We can turn on the cropping region, bring that out. And this could be a nice section that you potentially could allocate. We will see the process of how to do that. Remember that you could have the section here that is nice and neat, and you can have, on the other hand, a section where it's a little bit with more construction documentation and the levels and the things, so you can hide some things here, show them in a different way there, etc., etc. No? Okay. Go to the 3D. Let's actually create a floor out of this. Let's go and select the form. These are actually the walls that we created. I'm going to turn on the masses, and I'm just going to go and select everything, filter out. Basically, I'm going to, uncheck the masses. Say OK, and then right-click, hide elements. So we're working with the masses. I'm going to select the base, which is this one here, and also hide that one, so I can work with this. How do we create floors out of this mass? The way it works is, number one, you have to think of the levels that you have. So if you have a level 2 at 20, maybe you want to go to a section to take a look at where the level is, and DI, it's basically annotate, and then align tools. So you can create a dimensioning and select one point and another one to take a look at what is the distance of, between the bottom of the structure and the level 2. That's 13 feet, which is a space that you can definitely, inhabit. But you could also take this maybe to 18 feet if you want. It comes down, so you have a generous space. I want to take it up just because I probably want the floor, if it exists, to hit the center area. So I'm going to pick it back and potentially even put in 6 inches higher. So it's 13 feet. That's perfectly fine. I want to delete the dimension because I don't need it. And I'm going to create a floor at level 2. So to do that, go to the 3D, select the piece. And what I'm going to do is, under mass and inside is the floor command. And you can create a floor, but the first thing you will need to do is select the mass and mass floors. It's going to open up the levels that you have. Let's say I want a floor at level 2. Say okay. And then it creates that kind of a slice at that height. Now, if your model is, or your mass is very complex, that's not going to appear. So be careful with that. Now you go to the mass floors here, and then you start selecting number 1, the type of floor you want. Say wood choice, for example, and you can select only the floors that you have created. You select that, and then you say create floor. Okay? So that is Revit material. There's not anymore masses. I can turn off the masses and see what that looks like. I can change the type of floors if I want, and I can do this just, by looking at the section. Maybe is a good place to see how that looks. And there is, it's like going in between areas. If I want to edit the floor, I can select the floor, edit the boundaries. It's going to ask me, hey, where is the best place you want to work? It's here. It doesn't make any sense. You might want to go to level 2, which is where you want to work. Open view. It's going to put it into magenta setting. I don't want these ones. Doesn't make much sense there, maybe. And I'm going to say 1 yes, 1 no. For example, this one, it's not going to have a floor. For example, let's say, okay, so I'm just having a selection of parts where it's going to have a floor and where other ones going to have a floor. Okay. So let's go to the section. I erase that area. And I think it looks good. So what I could do also is just create another level. Set the level, different height, for example, at the frame here. Snap to that, escape, and also taking it out. Name this something like 1.5 or something like that. So it's sometimes levels in between levels. You can call them like 1.5 if they're not specifically full levels. They might be points. The stair goes and then it goes to a different point. So, for example, so I'm going to create another small floor here for us to figure out. So what I'm going to do is go again to the 3D. I'm going to turn on under massing inside the mass, select this element and create, for example, another glass floor here. It's going to be on level 1.5. I create that section, and under floors, I'm going to select this element with the same type of floor, wood joist, and create floor. Okay. Now I'm going to select it. I'm going to edit boundary, and I just don't want floors here. I just want the floor in the middle area, so it has different areas. I could potentially say, well, I also want something, I don't know, different here, some like a circle area or something like that. If I want to edit a particular moment, I could also, edit some of these elements. I might not want the floor to come this way, so I could do, for example, a line setting and do something different, I guess. I could do that from the floor plan, which is the best place to do that. 1.5. Can do line setting and I'm just going to change to try something different. No? And this is being done here by hand, not necessarily by the feature of the masses. No, so I'm just reinventing that floor altogether. I don't necessarily want to use the conceptual masses for that one, so I could be more playful about how I organize those things. Line must be closed loop, so probably there's a point there. Continue. We got this little thing there. Say okay. And now I have some kind of a weird, interesting floor plan that I can see from the different levels. So I can go to 3D. There it is. Okay. So that's good. I can turn off the masses, see how that comes about. I can just select everything, and unhide elements. There you go. Now, typically the origin point is something we can edit. So there you go. You start having something of a project here. So far I've been working with one proposal, but you could also decide to mix some proposals. So I can say Control O in Rhino, and I'm not sure what options would be interesting. So I'm just going to select, for example, this one, select it, export selected, and then I'm going to call it something like Project C. This would be a way of trying to mix two different proposals or three, etc. The process will be the same. You export as an SAT from Rhino. You go to the side view, and then you go to File, New, Conceptual Mass, select the mass option, opens up the interface of the 3D conceptual mass creation, insert, cut, Project C, origin to origin, comes there, save it, give it a name, and then load into the project. It opens up the project, wants to place it, but again, we escape, we go to the side view, because that's where we can find the origin point. We click on this one, it brings the latest time we loaded. So click on the endpoint there, which is the origin point, escape. And then here it starts getting obviously messy, but that's just fine. This is a little bit of the whole process that we're doing. I'm going to select everything, filter out everything except the masses, and hide those elements. So now I have masses. I only need the new one I brought, so I'm going to hide the other ones, hide this one. I'm going to hide the base as well. So this is another element that I could potentially use. So obviously I don't know precisely where it could be nice, but I'm going to use some of those tunnels in areas that could be nice. Actually, I'm going to go back, Control C, and only hide the base project. And notice that maybe some areas could be more interesting than others. So for example, to top view, this one could be good. That one, big one, could be nice. And, you know, maybe I could just do a few of them, 1, 2. I can do those two, no problem. So I come here, and the way this will work is the same way. So I would just go to mass and inside, let's say wall. Let's just imagine there, I don't know, there could be exterior walls inside. It could be doing something weird there, why not? And I could select the faces that come up. Now I think I mentioned this one here. 1, 2. Be careful when you select to make sure that it's highlighted the one you really want. And this one I think I mentioned. Okay, as I am doing that, obviously the plans are incorporating the changes. So you have this set of new plans here. And the good thing obviously about those is that they are indeed angled as you want them with a particular shape you want. So that's good. I could add more, but to be honest, I don't really have the tools. You could always go back and insert some of those in Rhino very fast. Just another Boolean operation in this corner to create a more balanced situation. I could actually do it right now. That is over here. Let me see. Here in this area. So I could go and say box, for example. And then Boolean difference, select. And then I can export selected. And I can do something like C2. Okay, SAT, come here. I'm going to delete this one now because I used it already. And I'm going to do the same as always. File, new, conceptual mass, open, insert, cut, widget C2. And this is only to get that little opening there. I'm going to save this. C2 and load into the project. There's two projects open, just the previous one. Project C and the other one. So I want to say to that one. It asks you when you have more than one open. I'm going to go to the side view. Under component, go exactly to 0, 3D. And now I can use that piece as another extra element. I can just go to mass and inside. Wall, use the exterior wall I was using before. There you go. So see how that looks in level 1. Okay, so now it seems like more balanced and more interestingly thought out. Okay, so that's that. There's how you're sectioning the different parts with no problem. So this could be a nice proposal. I'm gonna show everything in the 3D and hide elements. Good time to save. And hidden lines to see where we are. Maybe a nice thing to do at this point is create a camera, expand the triangle on the 3D default setting, click camera, and do maybe a couple of them to see how the space starts looking. Remember that you should first click the camera and then second as far as you can so you see beyond as much as you can. And that would be one of the views. You start already potentially thinking about whether it's a portrait view or if it's a more of a landscape. I recommend that 50% of the views in the panel 2 are actually portrait and the other ones are landscape. So you test different possibilities. You're welcome to use the wheel here to look a little bit differently if you want to shift that around, or going up or down if you want to go to a floor above, or make it a bit more dramatic by going down. And you have many options that you can do here, of course. Okay, you can notice that every time you do that, it creates another view. You can rename that and say something like perspective interior 1 or something like that. Okay. You can either go to a plan and create another camera, or you can always duplicate with detailing the same view, rename, call it something like 2. And then you could just navigate with the wheel so you can go and move around. For example, you can walk, which is the option here, and go forward and rotate a little bit as if it was a console. And maybe go up. Maybe look around and see what it is that you can, see newly. And maybe decide, well, this is more of a landscape view. And sometimes you want to take a look at the shaded options to see if this is looking one way or another better for you. Okay. So that could be one. You can do the same duplicate, or then you can go to different views and take a look at what's going on. So you can put level 1, camera, go from on this point outwards, and you can expand these things to be whatever you want it to be. Okay. From here you can place, if you want some people already, there's some director in the 3D to see at least how the scale relates to the space, etc., etc. Okay. So, okay, I think we're in a point where we can then come back, create a stair related to some of the floors, and actually start gathering the drawings that we need and place them in InDesign.